Your laptop's screaming. You've been training a model for 6 hours. You still don't know what you're doing, and somehow this is exactly how every AI engineer starts. This is not a story about code. It is a story about what happens to a person who spends a career building intelligence they do not fully understand, what they gain, what they lose, and what they eventually become. It starts where everything starts, at the bottom, with a MacBook. Level 1. Intern. Your first day, you clone a repository. It takes 40 minutes to set up the environment. There are 17 dependencies. 3 of them conflict. You fix 2. A senior engineer fixes the third in 11 seconds. He does not make you feel bad about this. That is the first thing you are grateful for. Your task is data pre-processing. 4.2 million rows. Missing values, broken formats. You clean everything. No one notices. It is not glamorous. You do it anyway. You write a script that saves the team 3 hours of manual work. No one celebrates this. It just disappears into the pipeline. You learn something important. Good infrastructure is invisible. That is how you know it's working. You sit in your first model review meeting. People throw around terms, transformer architecture, attention heads, KL divergence. You understand maybe 60% of it. You nod at the other 40%. You write down every word you do not know. That night, you have a list of 23 terms to look up. You look up all 23. This is the habit that will separate you from most people who start where you started. Not talent, not the right university, not connections. The list and the discipline to clear it every night. Your internship ends. They offer you a return offer, $112,000 base. You accept before they finish the sentence. You call your parents. Your mother does not know what an AI engineer is. You try to explain. You use the word neural network. She says, so, like a brain? You say, kind of. You are not sure that is wrong. Level 2, Junior Engineer. You are full-time now. Your first real project, a recommendation model for a content platform. 250 million users. Your code will run in production. The first time you push the prod, your hands are slightly unsteady. Nothing breaks. You sit back, you breathe. You have shipped something. It is live. It is real. People are being served recommendations by logic you wrote. That feeling does not last long, but while it lasts, it is extraordinary. 3 weeks later, the model starts drifting. Engagement metrics drop 4%. Your tech lead flags it in Slack. Your stomach drops before you finish reading the message. You spend 2 days debugging. The issue is a feature distribution shift in the training data, a small upstream change in how user events were logged. Almost invisible. Almost. You fix it. You write a monitoring alert so it never sneaks through again. Then you write a postmortem. Calm, clear, no blame. Your manager reads it. She says, this is exactly how you handle it. You file that away. How you handle failure matters more than the failure itself. In this industry, there will always be more failures to handle. You start going deep on the literature. Attention is all you need. The GPT papers, AlphaFold, RLHF. You read them on weekends, not because someone told you to, because you cannot stop. Because every paper opens 3 more questions. Because this field is moving so fast that standing still is the same as falling behind. You are 24 years old and you're building at the edge of what is known. That sentence would sound like marketing if it were not simply true. You get your first performance review. Meets expectations. 1 level below exceeds. You absorb the feedback. 2 technical gaps, 1 communication note. You write them down. You make a plan. You do not complain about the rating, not even to yourself. Complaining is a release valve. It feels like action. It is not action. You learn that from someone smarter than you. You are learning a lot from people smarter than you. That is the actual compensation at this level. The salary is real. The proximity is worth more. Level 3, Senior Engineer. The title change happens on a Tuesday. No ceremony. An email from HR. Your Slack profile updates automatically. Senior Machine Learning Engineer. You read it twice. Then you close the email and go back to your terminal. The work does not know you got promoted, but something has shifted. People stop explaining things to you and start asking you things. Instead, junior engineers send you Slack messages that start with, "Quick question." The questions are never quick. You answer them anyway, every single one, because 2 years ago, you were the one sending those messages, and someone answered you. Your scope expands. You are no longer owning features, you are owning systems. A full retrieval pipeline, an embedding infrastructure serving 40 internal teams. When it goes down, 40 teams feel it. When it goes down at 2 a.m., your phone feels it first. You are on call for the first time. The first page wakes you at 3:17 a.m. Latency spike, vector search cluster overwhelmed, queries timing out. You are fully awake in under 30 seconds. This is a skill you did not know you were developing. Crisis clarity, the ability to think precisely when everything in you wants to panic. You resolve it in 41 minutes. You write the incident report at 4 a.m. You are back asleep by 4:30. You are at your desk by 9. No one knows. That is the job. The AI landscape is shifting visibly now. Foundation models are changing everything. Every quarter, a new paper rewrites assumptions. Things you built 18 months ago are already being deprecated. Not because they were bad, because the field moved underneath them. You feel this as pressure at first, then you feel it as fuel. The engineers who survive this industry long-term are not the ones who master a stack. They are the ones who are comfortable with the stack changing every 18 months. Adaptability is the only durable skill. You are starting to build it in your bones. You make your first real technical mistake at this level. Not a bug, a decision. You choose an architecture that scales beautifully in theory. In production, under real traffic, it develops a failure mode no one anticipated. The fix takes 3 engineers 6 weeks. The cost to the team is real. You own it completely. Your manager sits with you after the retrospective. She does not soften it. She does not inflate it either. She says, the decision was reasonable with what you knew. The lesson is what you do next. You do not sleep well for a week. Then you do something with it. You write a design review framework for the team. It is still being used 3 years later. That is what separates engineers who grow from engineers who stall. They convert failure into infrastructure. You start interviewing at other companies, not because you are unhappy, because you need to know your market value. You get 3 offers. The highest is $340,000 total comp. You bring it back to your current employer. They match it. You stay. You have learned something about leverage that no negotiation book taught you. The offer was never really about leaving. It was about knowing you could. Level 4, staff engineer. Staff is a different job, not a harder version of senior. An entirely different job. You spend less time writing code and more time making decisions that determine what code gets written. This transition is harder than it sounds. You spent years getting fast, precise, and confident at the keyboard. Now, the most important output you produce is a document, a technical strategy, a systems proposal, a one-pager that shapes a quarter of engineering work. You resist this at first. Every engineer resists this at first. You feel the pull of the terminal, the clean satisfaction of a passing test suite. But you learn to find that same satisfaction in a well-reasoned argument, in a meeting where you ask the right question at the right moment, in a junior engineer who ships something great because of a conversation you had with them on a Tuesday. Leverage changes shape. You learn to hold the new shape. You are now involved in decisions that have moral weight, not abstractly, concretely. A product team wants to deploy a personalization model that measurably increases engagement. It also measurably increases time spent on content that makes users feel worse about themselves. The metrics are clean. The trade-off is not. You raise it in the design review. The room goes quiet in a specific way, not hostile, uncomfortable. Like everyone knew this question was coming and no one wanted to be the one to ask it. You do not have a clean answer. No one does. The project gets modified, not killed, modified. You're not sure if that's a win. You file it. The filing cabinet in your head is getting full. You are 30 years old. Your total comp this year is $420,000. Your parents still do not fully understand what you do. Your closest friends from college are teachers, nurses, civil servants. You love them. The gap in context is widening, not in affection, in shared vocabulary. You notice this at dinner. You choose your words differently now. You simplify. You translate. Sometimes you go quiet instead. You have not lost them, but something about the distance is worth paying attention to. You pay attention to it. Then you go back to work. You are building systems now that will outlast your time at this company. That is a strange thing to sit with. You write code that junior engineers you will never meet will inherit, debug, and extend. Your decisions echo forward in time in ways you cannot fully trace. You start taking that seriously. Not in a precious way, in a precise way. You write documentation like someone's 2 a.m. depends on it. Because it does. Because yours did. Level 5. Principal Engineer. There is no onboarding document for this level. No rubric, no checklist, no clear line where staff ends and principal begins. You cross it anyway. You know you have crossed it when the conversations change. You are no longer in rooms talking about systems. You are in rooms talking about the direction of systems. Not what to build, whether to build it. Not how to scale, what should scale and what should not. The questions get bigger. The answers get harder to verify. You learn to make decisions under genuine uncertainty, not manufactured uncertainty, real uncertainty. The kind where reasonable, brilliant people disagree and no one is wrong. Your calendar is unrecognizable from what it was at junior level. 4 hours of deep technical work on a good day. The rest, architecture reviews, cross-team alignment, executive briefings, hiring panels. You sit across from a VP of product and explain, calmly, why her roadmap has a foundational flaw. You are right, she knows you are right, the conversation is still uncomfortable. You do not soften it, you do not harden it either. You just say the true thing, clearly, with evidence, without apology. This is a skill that took years to develop. Technical courage, the willingness to be the person in the room who says the thing no one wants to hear. Not for the performance of honesty, because the cost of not saying it is always higher. You are involved in the company's AI safety review process. You read bias audit reports. You review red team outputs. You sign off on deployment decisions for models that will interact with millions of people. One model fails a fairness evaluation on a demographic subgroup. The error rate is 3.2% higher, statistically significant, practically meaningful. The business pressure to ship is real. The timeline has been communicated to customers. You delay the release. There are people in the organization who are unhappy about this. They express this through email chains and calendar invites. You sit in those meetings. You hold the position. You do not enjoy it. You do not regret it either. The model ships 6 weeks later. Fixed, audited, cleared. No one outside the company ever knows about the 6 weeks. That is fine. That is not why you did it. You mentor 3 engineers this year. Not formally, informally. Coffee chats, design reviews, late Slack messages answered at 10 p.m. One of them gets promoted to senior. She sends you a message when the promotion comes through. 2 sentences. Genuine. You sit with it longer than you expected. This is something no compensation number captures. The compounding of people. You made her better. She will make someone else better. That chain has no ceiling. It is the longest running model you will ever train. Level 6. AI Architect. You are 38 years old. You have been doing this 15 years. The field you started in barely resembles the field you work in now. You have relearned your own job 4 times. You will relearn it again. You are not afraid of that anymore. Your title is AI Architect. You do not write production code. You shape the systems that determine what production code gets written. You design the AI infrastructure for an organization of 4,000 engineers. When you make a foundational decision, thousands of downstream decisions follow from it. You feel that weight. You have learned not to be paralyzed by it. You make the decision. You document the reasoning precisely. You build in the ability to be wrong. Reversibility is a feature, not an admission of doubt. This is one of the last things you learn that genuinely changed how you think. You sit on an industry working group for AI governance. Engineers, ethicists, policymakers, legal teams in the same room. Everyone is speaking a slightly different language. Your job, increasingly, is translation. You explain transformer architecture to a senator's policy advisor. You explain regulatory constraints to a team of researchers who have never read a compliance document. You explain the human cost of a system failure to an engineering team that only sees dashboards. This is the work no job description prepared you for. Bridging the gap between what the technology can do and what it should do, between what is technically elegant and what is actually safe, between the model and the world the model touches. You are good at this. You did not plan to be. It emerged from 15 years of paying attention. You think about the intern version of yourself sometimes. The screaming laptop fan, the 17 conflicting dependencies, the list of 23 terms you did not know cleared every night. You would not give that person a shortcut even if you could. Not the 3 a.m. incident, not the architecture failure, not the uncomfortable meeting, not even the filing cabinet full of decisions that still do not have clean answers. All of it built something that cannot be downloaded, cannot be fine-tuned into existence, cannot be prompted out of a model no matter how large. Judgment. Hard-won, scar tissue judgment. The kind that knows when the technically correct answer is not the right answer. The kind that has held a position in a hostile room and been right. The kind that has held a position in a hostile room and been wrong and learned the difference. The field will keep moving. It will not wait for you. It never has. There is a new architecture paper published this morning that rewrites 3 assumptions you hold. You will read it tonight. You will update your thinking. That habit, the one that started with a list of 23 words, has never stopped. It is the through line, not the title, not the comp, not the systems you built that are already being deprecated. The relentless, quiet, unglamorous commitment to understanding. One paper at a time, one decision at a time, one person at a time. Somewhere right now, a 21-year-old is cloning a repository for the first time. The environment is broken. 3 dependencies conflict. They are frustrated. They are also exactly where they need to be. They think this career is about building AI. It is, but the best ones figure out somewhere around year 8 or year 12 or year 15 that the most important thing they ever built was not a model. It was the discipline to keep building when they did not know what they were doing, and the wisdom to know that feeling never fully goes away. The field does not stop. It just finds new people with enough courage to run it.